Hey guys, it's Andy here, and welcome back to another episode of Deck Doctor. This is a Team Aggro deck submitted by one Andrew Ringrose, and it seems to be a amalgamation between a couple of the new mechanics that are in Ravnica Allegiance. That's Adapt and Riot. So I'm just going to touch over his version of the deck, and then go on to my version and show you how I tweaked it. So looking at the main board here, he's running a 4 of Growth Chamber Guardian. 2 cost 2/2, pay 3, adapt 2, so you can put 2+1 counters on it. When you put the counters on it, you can search for another Growth Chamber Guardian. Awesome card. I love the ability to be able to do that at instant speed, and the synergy in the deck's pretty crazy. Incubation Druid in a 4 of, a 2 cost 0/2 Elf Druid. It's got tap, add 1 mana. If it has +1 counter on it, it's for 3 mana instead. Adapt for 5. A 4 of Llanowar Elves, which is a 1/1 for 1, tap, add green. 3 copies of Jadelight Ranger. 3 cost 2/1 Merfolk Scout. Enters the battlefield and you explore twice. Being able to filter cards off the top is always going to be awesome. Biomancer's Familiar. Synergizing with the Adapt cards in this deck. Activated abilities of creatures you control cost 2 less to activate. This effect can never reduce the amount of mana to less than 1, and it's got tap. The next time a creature would adapt this turn, you can adapt as though it didn't have +1 counters on it. It's for 2 or 2/2 mutant. Awesome card. It actually synergizes very well with another one of the cards that he's got in the main board here, which is the Skagan Hellkite, which he's running in a 3 of. The Skagan Hellkite is a 5 cost 4/4 dragon with Riot, so it can either come in with a +1 counter or has haste. Being a big red dragon, it's got flying. Also got for 4, Skagan Hellkite deals 2 damage divided as you choose among 1 or 2 targets. Activate this ability only if Skagan has a +1/+1 counter on it. So with the Biomancer's Familiar out, his activated ability is reduced to a 3 cost. 2 of them out. For every 1 red mana, we can ping for 2 damage, so it allows us to smash face pretty hard. Just a weird synergy that's in the deck that actually works out to be pretty cool. Another one of the cards that synergizes really well in the deck is the 2 of Zegana Utopian Speaker, which is a 4 cost 4/4 legendary creature wizard Merfolk. When it enters the battlefield, if you control another creature with a +1 counter on it, you draw a card. It's got Adapt 4 for 6, so for 4, a green and a blue, you can put 4 +1 counters on it, making it an 8/8. And then each creature you control with a +1 counter on it has Trample. A lot of people complain about this card when it came out. Yes, it's not great. They could have made it a hell of a lot better. Being able to put 4 +1 counters on it, making it an 8/8. Yes, the cost is steep. It ends up making it a 10 cost card. But if it's something you can play it as a 4 cost creature, build into going into the mid game, and then make it an 8/8, and it's giving everything else you've got with +1 counters on it Trample. The amount of +1 counters that are coming into this deck with all the Riot and the Adept triggers, crazy. It's definitely going to be worth playing at least a couple of copies of in this version of the deck. Hydroid Crassus in a 2 of. I love this card. It's insanely good. It gets you a hell of a lot of value. So it's for X and 2. It's a 0/0 Jellyfish Hydra Beast. When you cast a spell, you gain half X and draw half X cards, rounded down each time. It has flying and trample, and it enters the battlefield with X +1 counters on it. In the early game, this isn't fantastic, but when it's getting into the mid to the late game, playing this card can be a finisher. It can just draw us a full grip full of cards, gain us a heap of life, comes in as a massive flying trampler, great evasion. It's insanely cool. Love this card. He's running a 4 of Rhythm of the Wild in the main board. Not a huge fan of running so many copies in the main board, but this card's pretty insane. So for 3, it's 1 red and a green. It's an enchantment that sits on the battlefield, and creature spells you control can't be countered. As well as non-token creatures you control have Riot, so they enter the battlefield with either haste or +1 counters. If you got a Rhythm of the Wild out, and then you play an Incubation Druid, it can immediately get a counter on it, meaning the turn after it can tap for 3. Increasing the stats of all our creatures is awesome, but the ramp you're going to be able to get between these 2 cards is going to be insane. Hadam's Climb in a 3 of, which is for 3, legendary enchantment. At the beginning of combat on your turn, you put a +1 counter on target creature you control. Then, if a creature has 3 or more +1 counters on it, you transform Hadam's Climb. Once it's flipped, it turns into the Winged Temple of Orazca, which is a legendary land with tap, add 1 mana of any color to your mana pool. And then you can pay 3 to tap. Target creature you control gains flying and gets +X until end of turn, where X is its power. So running the Hadam's Climb and the Rhythm allows us to put heaps of counters on the creatures. I love the synergy between the 2. Once this is flipped, being able to make Jadelight's huge with flying, awesome. Growth Chamber Guardians, by the time this is flipped, usually they're going to be 4/4s already. That is a big flying beater is going to be great. Even the Zegana's swinging in, if it's in the mid to late game, and it's swinging in as an 8/8, if it hasn't already had other counters put on it. Again, huge flying beaters coming out of Hadam's Climb. Awesome. Some Planeswalkers in the form of Domri Chaosbringer, which is for 4. It's a 5 loyalty Planeswalker with +1 you add red or green, and then if it's spent on a creature, that creature gains Riot. Its neg 3 is look at the top 4 cards of your library. You may reveal up to 2 creature cards from among them and put them into your hand. Put the rest on the bottom of your library in a random order. And its neg 8 ability is you get an emblem with, at the beginning of each end step, you create a 4/4 red-green beast creature token with trample. I love Domri. I reckon he's awesome. The ability to ramp into anything you want and give it Riot, even if it didn't have it in the first place. Insanely good value. A really good Planeswalker to come out of the Gruul colors. 3 copies of Skagen that I've already mentioned. A single copy of Carnage Tyrant, which is for 6. A 7/6 dinosaur. Can't be countered. Has trample and hexproof. Insanely good card. Vivian Reed is the last Planeswalker in the deck. It's for 5. 5 loyalty Planeswalker. +1 ability is to look at the top 4 cards of your library. You can reveal a creature or land card from among them and put it into your hand. Put the rest on the bottom. Its neg 3 ability is destroy target artifact, enchantment, or creature with flying. And its neg 8 ability is you get an emblem with creatures you control get +2/+2, have vigilance, trample, and indestructible. Used more often than not for its removal. Vivian has proven to be a really good card in a lot of decks that I've seen. It's something you see more in the sideboards usually. Its neg 8's not something you're usually going to get to, but its +1 ability is awesome, being able to dig through your deck for lands if you need them, or into more creatures. It's always going to be good. Touching on the land base here, he's running a 3 of Steam Vents, a 3 of Stomping Ground, a 3 of Hinterland Harbor, 2 Breeding Pools, 2 Rootbound Crags, 2 Sulphur Falls. He's also running 3 forests, 3 islands, and 2 mountains. And I gotta say, I like the deck. I think it's really cool. I like the fact that someone's going for a Temur build that isn't just control or playing Wilderness Reclamation. It's something that I've put together with the Temur Gates deck that I recently posted, but this deck looks pretty cool, so we're gonna see what I can do with it. So this is my version of the Temur aggro deck. Affectionately nicknamed it Temur Bash. Just built fully on Bashing Face. I've tweaked the numbers a little bit to try and optimize it a little bit more. Put some new cards into the build and tweak the land base. The sideboard's where most of the new cards are going to be featured, but we'll just touch over the tweaks that I did make to the deck. So to start off, we're running 4 copies of the Hydroid Krasis. Huge dumb beater. If this has Riot in the mid to late game, this can be insanely good. It's drawing into more cards, gaining us life, which is good against other aggro matchups. Drawing cards is good against the control matchups. Being able to just help us pull forward in any kind of matchup is going to be good. So Hydroid Krasis, too good not to be running in a 4 of. Sticking with the 4 copies of Growth Chamber Guardian, the 4 copies of Incubation Druid, the 4 copies of Llanowar Elves. I like the 3 copies of Jade Light. It's a good card in the deck. Again, something else that can have Riot. Helps filter cards off the top. We can get more lands. Biomancer's Familiar, another card that I loved in the 3 of. Synergize as well with all of the Adapt stuff and the Skagen, which we still have. Only running in a 2 of now. Drop 1 of them so that we can put in another copy of the Hydroid. Went down a single copy of the Hadamard's Climb and the Rhythm of the Wild, so we're running 2 and 3. I've done that because Rhythm of the Wild is awesome, but as a turn 3 play, the turn we play it doesn't do anything. So it's something that we want to be playing either later in the game, or if we have it, it's not something that we want to always be playing on turn 3. Sticking with the 3 copies of Biomancer's Familiar. Synergizes really well with the Adapt cards in the deck, as well as the 2 copies of Skagen that we've kept. Dropped a Skagen to fit in more Hydroid. We're running a 3 of the Domri Chaosbringer. More on the aggro side of stuff, and one of the new toys that I added was the 3 copies of Gruul Spellbreaker, which is a 3-cost 3/3 Ogre Warrior with Riot. Also has Trample, but as long as it's your turn, you and Gruul Spellbreaker have Hexproof. In an aggro deck, against Settle the Wreckage, we're going to have a bad time. This just fixes that problem, giving us Hexproof. Sticking with the 2 copies of Zegana, I like the synergy in the deck, making all of our stuff with +1 counters Trample, another good way to help finish. Dropping this down 1, again, enchantments isn't something we want to be seeing too much of. The synergy in the deck is awesome, but it's not something that we need to see too often. With the addition of the extra Hydroid Krasis, we're going to be drawing into more cards more often, so we're still likely to see Hadamard's Climb. But it's not a bad thing if we draw into it, play it on turn 3, and then play into any of our other stuff. The ability is really cool. It's just not something that I think we need to see too much. Touching on the land base, I've tweaked the numbers a bit. We're running a 4 of Stomping Ground, a 4 of Steam Vents, a 3 of Hinterland Harbor, a 3 of Breeding Pool, a 3 of Rootbound Crag, a 2 of Sulphur Falls, and then it's 2 forests, an island, and a mountain. Just shoring up the land base a little bit, we want to be able to hit blue fairly reliably because of Hydroid Krasis. The land base before, there wasn't really anything wrong with it, but I think this shores it up a little bit more. Touching on the sideboard here, we can see this is where we've moved the Carnage Tyrant, and I've just added another couple of copies. In the control matchups, taking out stuff like Skagen or Zegana to replace with the Carnage Tyrant is always going to be good. Some sweepers in the form of Fiery Cannonade, A lot of the times our creatures are going to be out of reach of this because of all the +1 counters in the deck. Just a great sweeper. So for 3, 2 damage to each non-pirate creature at instant speed. Awesome. 2 copies of Banefire, which is X and 1 red. At sorcery speed, you deal X damage to any target. If X is more than 5, it can't be prevented and it can't be countered. Great finisher in the deck. We do have quite a bit of ramp. Just another way that we can help finish out a game in the control matchups. Negates in a 2 of. For 2, at instant speed, you counter target non-creature spell. Vivian to the sideboard. Added an extra 1. Awesome bit of removal in the deck. If you wanted to tweak the numbers a bit, you could probably fit it into the main board. I just personally like having it in the sideboard. 3 copies of Lava Coil, which is for 2, at sorcery speed, you deal 4 damage to target creature. If that creature would die this turn, exile it instead. Answers stuff like Rekindling Phoenix. It's just a good removal piece that hits a lot of the stuff in the format at the moment. And that is Temur Bash in Standard. Thanks for watching, guys. As always, don't forget to like, share, subscribe, and hit the bell icon to see new videos as they are released. If you like what I do and you want to support the channel, you can throw me $1 on my Patreon at patreon.com/SandersQuest. And I will see you guys in the next video. Keep questing, guys.